Hello, it's Swantola again, and the last time I did a video about production advice, the response was great. So I'm gonna do more of them, but for more specific things that I think every producer should know. For this one, I'll be covering the process I use to make snares. There are a few different parts that go into a snare hit, and so to break it apart, let's think about an actual drumstick hitting an actual snare drum. When the stick hits, it creates a transient, or a short but loud burst of sound. The transient is loudest for, let's say, about 10 to 50 milliseconds, and then it just fades out. Some people might be surprised that all the top-end stuff is actually just the default FL snare. It's really not that terrible of a snare to begin with, but the biggest problem I have with it is the body, which is the longer tone you hear after the transient. It just doesn't have one. So, let's high pass it and get right to fixing that. The easiest way to get a body is just to steal it from another snare that has a good body, but instead of that, let's have some fun. See this? This is a kick drum synth. Yeah, kick. Here's what's going on. I turned off the click and noise sections, so we basically just get a sine wave that starts really high and quickly sweeps down to 208 Hz, or an A-flat 4. That's how the body of a snare drum behaves. As the stick rebounds off the drum, the noise of the transient settles down to whatever frequency the snare was tuned to. Of course, some of the noise from the original transient still reverberates, but for the most part, it's just the body. We put together the body and all the other stuff by busing them to a single channel. Add a little EQ to get the tone, and this is where I'd usually put the reverb, but it's not always necessary or a good idea, and I use too much reverb anyway, so whatever. Just a little bit, just don't overdo it. Now we move on to the
envelope shaping.
The FL limiter has a nice preset for this, so just go to there, and you'll see it has a relatively slow attack, so it doesn't kick in immediately and squash the sound. There's just a really short peak right at the beginning, which makes the transient louder. Shaping adds some dynamics to the snare, so obviously after that, the next thing we're going to do is
completely destroy the dynamics.
Just throw an overdrive on it, and boom, noisy dubstep snare. Now, any actual audio engineers hate me now because I just killed the dynamics of the snare, but there's a reason I did that. A snare with a louder transient will raise the peak volume of the track when we master it, and for a genre as loud as EDM, every decibel counts. So we clip the peak with distortion, but the transient still sort of lives on, because all that volume makes it distort harder, so it still sounds louder than it would have if we didn't shape it. So there's your snare. To get the EQ just right, I've got a remake of the famous virtual riot drop that every wannabe producer's used at least once in their lifetime. Don't lie. So we can hear how it sounds in a finished track. Now just add a kick and some decent hats, and there's our beat. That's it. See you next time.